Hi, I'm Alex Roman, Executive Editor for Metro Magazine, and welcome back to METROspectives. Today, my guests are Mark Ellison, VP of Sales and Marketing at InterMotive Vehicle Controls, and George Hadley, Production Manager at Pride Industries. Mark and George joined me today to talk about a unique partnership between Pride Industries and InterMotive, which sees InterMotive employing people with disabilities that are trained and given life skills by Pride Industries. It's a great conversation. Hope you enjoy it. Thanks for joining me again. Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. How are you doing?
Well,
Doing great.
thank you, Alex.
Good. We're here to talk about an article will be online by the time this video gets up, discussing the partnership between Pride Industries and InterMotive. But first, for people who may not be too up to date with what you two do, can you guys talk a little bit about what InterMotive does and a little bit about what Pride Industries does?
Okay, perfect. So InterMotive Vehicle Controls is an automotive electronics company. We're located in Auburn, California, and the company's been around since 1996. We sell into the public the public transit mobility market, personal use market, school buses, work trucks, law enforcement, a number of different markets. And what's really kind of germane for this conversation today is we are the largest manufacturer of wheelchair lift interlocks, which are used on wheelchair-equipped vehicles, largest manufacturer in North America.
And George, can you talk a little bit about Pride?
Yeah, so a little bit about Pride. We're Pride Industries. We're a 501c3, and since 1966, our mission has been to provide employment for those with disabilities. So what we try to do and accomplish here is give them the training and the skills needed to not only work on the products here, but hopefully in time graduate from Pride into the community in another company or somewhere else and see them graduate to that level. So Pride's actually in 17 states, and we have about 5,000 employees. So half of the 5,000, they have a disclosed disability. So we are the largest employer of people with disabilities.
That sounds great, George. Can you talk a little bit about how your two worlds collided? How did InterMotive and Pride kind of get together for this kind of innovative project you guys have done, or this partnership?
We actually manufacture the PCBAs for the elevator lifts for the buses. So we have actually a whole fleet of buses throughout those 17 states that bring people with disabilities to and from work. So the PCBA that InterMotive has designed and fabricated, we build here, and we have people with disabilities that also help with the building of those boards and manufacturing of the boards as well. So that's kind of how we collide. I'll let Mark elaborate a little more on that.
So going back, even before I came on board in 2003, as InterMotive was growing, we were starting to look into opportunities into the mobility market. And we needed a company who could build the boards for us. And Pride, with their outstanding reputation, the fact that they were local, close to us, was very important. So at the time, we've been in the Auburn area, or around Auburn, since 2001. So that was, having them close by, that made for a really nice fit. So they were able to help get us launched with selling the modules and the components we needed for our kits. Alex, if I could add one other thing.
Yes, definitely.
The natural tie-in, Pride being the largest employer of people with disabilities, and for InterMotive selling products to bus manufacturers and to people who build mobility vehicles for personal use, that synergy was huge and was very important also from a Buy America standpoint for public transit buses. So, I mean, you kind of bring it full circle. As George said, you have people with disabilities helping make a product that go to a company that sell to companies that build vehicles with wheelchair lifts. and the fact that then Pride's own vehicles will have our components, which have their boards in them.
Right. And I mean, how did you become aware of Pride, and how kind of did the idea come about to involve people with disabilities to with a company?
So the original idea of getting involved with vehicles that have wheelchair lifts actually was by pure accident. Greg Schaefer was at a trade show, had a booth, but really didn't have much to display. Happened to be at a show for it's called the CalAct show. So the state of California started talking to people in other booths, saying, "What do you do? What do you make?" He stumbled across a bus dealer, and they started talking, and he identified an opportunity that they were unhappy with the lift interlocks that they were getting on their vehicles. And so Greg then started researching it, determined that there was an opportunity, and I think had through some local contacts. Actually, Greg, many years ago, when he was in, I think, either high school or college, had a little side business, a side hustle with vending machines. And so Pride was one of his customers back in the early 80s. So he knew of Pride, didn't know everything they did, but that was an opportunity to kind of reconnect. So, like I said, his actual business dealings with Pride go back to the 80s.
Interesting, and it's interesting that it kept on. He kept that on his mind for so long, right?
Like I said, we had a need, and like I said, having Pride this close was really the perfect setup for us.
Right. What are some misconceptions that people may have about working with people with disabilities, and what does the implement mean to people who have disabilities? I mean, to be able to get in there and to have a 9 to 5, so to say.
I would say one of the biggest misconceptions that people have is that they're limited in what they can do. That's just not true. We bring people with disabilities in. We look for their skill sets, where their strong points are, and plug them in. And once they get comfortable, they're in the routine, then the world opens up. And they're looking, hey, I want to try that. I want to try that. And pretty soon you find that there's not much that they're not good at. They're very, very skilled, and they go on, and many of them have graduated from Pride into the community. Yeah, that's one of the biggest misconceptions is, that I've seen. It's really funny because once they come in and they see that they're working on let's say InterMotive for these boards, right? And they see what they go into. I mean, it's that power of purpose, Alex. It holds true for anybody. You give anybody the power of purpose. They have a sense of belonging to a team, being able to work on these products. It's fun to see. You see their eyes light up. They're eager. They become eager and hungry to learn more and more. It's a lot of fun, and it's just that power of purpose,
right? And I'm a little curious. You were talking about kind of an assessment. Are you looking at kind of motor skills and that sort of thing? Are you assessing? Can you talk a little bit about what that assessment process looks like?
Yeah, so they do an assessment. That we do have a helpline, I Am Able helpline. So if anybody out there is interested, if they know someone with disabilities, they can call the helpline. I could give you that number.
Okay, great.
And they'll assess them and find out where their strengths are and try to plug them in, whether it be physical or neurological. We can accommodate any person with disabilities.
And Mark, can you talk a little bit about the kind of work you're getting from Pride? How satisfied has InterMotive been with the products that you're getting from Pride Industries?
Well, I'll start with that second part first. We are extremely happy with the relationship that we have with Pride. In fact, our operations manager is a former Pride employee. So at all levels, we have used Pride employees. in terms of the quality of the work is fantastic. Regardless of what job they may take on at InterMotive, they're all important. I mean, there's somebody who programs, we have people who program boards, we have people who build harnesses, we have people who just put those kits together. And every piece of that's very important, kind of to George's point, that if you're just part of the team, that there can be a sense of accomplishment. You don't have to be necessarily programming, but I can't sell something if it's not bundled right, if the right parts aren't picked for the kit. So, depending on the skill set that the individuals have, the jobs vary what they do at our facility, but their jobs are no less important than anybody else building, anybody else selling, anybody else designing the products, anybody else issuing, excuse me, issuing invoices. All of those pieces play a role. So, the Pride employees for a number of years have been key to us getting product out the door.
Yeah. And I'm curious, is this kind of a 9 to 5 sort of a job? Is it seasonal? I mean, are you guys looking, is it something where they're doing something, you replace that work with something else and kind of go forward, or how does that process work?
So, I mean, it is a quote unquote 8 to 5 job. Right. It's not seasonal, and we develop not only products that are for wheelchair equipped vehicles, not just interlocks, but we build 60 different products, 60 plus products. So they may be involved in helping kit or build products that go on police vehicles, that go on ambulances, that go on work trucks that have aerial devices. So they are the product that they're building is kind of constantly changing. They may be working on something for interlocks for 2 or 3 days, but then the next work effort is for something going on police vehicles.
Right. And George, Mark mentioned their operations manager used to be at Pride Industries. I'm sure there's a lot of success stories. Can you talk about kind of, Pride Industries kind of satisfaction with being able to give people the tools to kind of go out and make a life for themselves, and this being kind of a key part of building that kind of self-esteem and that, that willingness or ableness to be able to go out into the world and kind of live what, I guess people would say would be a normal life, but would be, a day-to-day life for them.
Right. That's the fun part about this job, Alex, is being able to see people come in, gain those skills, gain those confidence levels, and get other jobs out in the community like InterMotive and excel at those positions. One of the Pride's vision is seeing an inclusive world where people of all abilities have equal access to achieve their employment goals. Right. That's what we want to see. That's the ultimate goal for Pride is seeing those individuals achieve those employment goals. So the sky's the limit for them, whatever they want to do, and it's fun to watch.
Yeah, Mark, I mean, from your standpoint, I mean, InterMotive has to be proud to not only provide these products, but also to kind of be involved in the community and to be able to kind of, almost kind of put your money where your mouth is, right?
Absolutely. So, not only do we benefit as a company, not only do the employees, I think, benefit from the work opportunities. Not to kind of a little bit of a shameless plug, we're able to also promote to the market or to our customers who are building these vehicles. Listen, you are helping support people with disabilities by buying our products. Right. And so I've been really pleasantly surprised by how many of our customers have smiled, have said, wow, I didn't know that. When we talk about Pride being a supplier, that we do have Pride employees working at our facility. that they then understand that, once again, it's kind of full circle for them, that they're building buses and they're using somebody who has a contractor that is the largest employer of people with disabilities. So it makes a great story, and it's been one that we've told to a lot of our customers ever since I've been here.
And then I guess, the last question, what would you say to a company that who has not considered hiring people with disabilities? What kind of advice would you give them, and what kind of positive word would you give them, to make the leap?
I'd say that they're missing out on great opportunities to bring someone on board that can offer the company their services. Just being enriched by someone's infectious attitude and a desire to work hard is so valuable, and it's infectious in the workforce.
Right.
Absolutely. I would echo George's sentiments. I mean, to put it really simply, you're making a mistake if you're not looking for an opportunity to bring in people with disabilities. I mean, because they have abilities, and that's what you really have to focus on, is not what they can't do, but what they can. And I think what they can do is help every company out there in some way. I mean, not every company is going to have the same job opportunities. There may be some things that certain people can't do, whether or not they have a disability or not. I mean, just maybe physically, but there is a way for them to add to the company. And as George mentioned, I think the infectiousness of their attitude, the Pride employees that we have are always smiling. They're always happy. They enjoy what they do, and it's fun to interact with them, on a daily basis.
Yeah. Great, guys. I mean, what a great story. I really appreciate you guys taking the time. And George, you wanted to mention the number. I think we should give that number out and see if you guys have anything else you'd like to add.
Absolutely. It's I Am Able, and the phone number is 844-426-2253. It's 844-426-2253. And if they're interested, they could call that and ask questions and love to get calls and see what we can do for someone. So
great. And anything you guys would like to add before we get going here?
I think on behalf of InterMotive Vehicle Controls, Greg and Linda Schaefer, the owners, we appreciate the opportunity not only to work with Pride, but to help get the message out about our relationship with them. Alex, we appreciate the opportunity to be a part of this podcast and talk about some of the neat things that are happening right here, in our community, the Sacramento area, and just how well it's going between our two companies.
I would echo what Mark said. It's wonderful to see, two companies and the relationship they can build and how we can service them. So it's not just electronics. I mean, there's packaging, fulfillment, landscaping, facility maintenance, you name it. So we have many different, aspects to Pride Industries. So, yeah, look us up.
Great. Thanks for your time today, guys. I really appreciate it.